we go. This is Country Music News International. My name's Nigel Sharpe. And way over there, I guess in Nashville, but I'm not sure.
Correct. Yeah.
And I am talking to Mr. Chris Weaver from the Chris Weaver Band, which is quite a large group of guys. And they wouldn't all fit on that little screen. So we've just got Chris. And I guess you're getting ready to play this evening. Do you not have a gig in?
Oh yeah, we played a place called the Stage in Nashville. It's a very popular honky tonk. I'm gonna come outside so I don't make
Right.
it more noise. Um, and It's a very popular honky tonk in Nashville, and I've been playing there for a long time. But we kind of just
Right.
stay there to kind of stay practiced, stay rehearsed.
I mean, you got to help me out here because I've never been to Nashville. There you go, which is a shocking admission to make, but it's a long way away for me. But
Yeah.
the stage on Broadway. I mean, how many people can you pack in there in
Oh,
terms of the
you know,
audience?
the first anymore, all the bars have so many floors, but the stage has 4 floors, 3 floors. The first floor is kind of the main, obviously the main floor off of the street,
Right.
and you can get about 300 people in there.
Okay,
So
that's a fair old size.
it's downtown Nashville it's unreal right now. I mean, there are so many bars and places to see music, and it's only expanding. So it's something else. Used to, right around now, November through February, you'd be playing to nobody at 12 o'clock
Okay.
at night. Now you just never know. You never know anymore.
Yes, crazy stuff. There you go. Now, I was reading your bio, and with a kind of background to that, I'm going to have to ask you a deeply personal question,
Oh, good.
which is, how old are you?
I'm 46.
Right. And the reason I asked that was because in your bio it states that my first influence was the Beatles.
Oh, yeah.
Now, I actually, when the Beatles first kind of came out with their first big hit, I mean, I was 13 years old.
Right.
So I'm a lot older than you.
Oh, well.
So I was wondering, how did the Beatles come to be kind of such an early influence on you?
Obviously, my father, because he had a, he played music. He had a band when I was younger, and but his record collection, I mean, I was enamored by it, and it wasn't, and it was a lot of the Beatles were just really my first. And when I say Beatles, I don't mean early '60s Beatles. I really mean the last probably 4 or 5 years of their,
Right.
the Abbey Roads and the Let It Be and all that kind of those records really is what made an impact on me, because at the same time I was very much enamored by Fleetwood Mac and
Right.
Billy Joel and Paul Simon and Steely Dan and Bob Seger, and Joe Cocker was a huge influence on me. But the Beatles, as far as like just the intricate parts of their music versus everybody else, especially at that time period, I don't know, it resonated with me. But
Yeah. I mean,
that's why.
and another thing you said there was Fleetwood Mac. Now, if anybody says Fleetwood Mac to me, I immediately think of Peter Green's Fleetwood Mac as the original one with Peter Green as the lead guitar player. But I'm presuming you're talking about the later kind of version of Fleetwood Mac that became a monster band in the USA with Stevie Nicks and so on. Or are you still? I mean,
No, it would be Stevie Nicks and Lindsey Buckingham. I mean,
yeah,
and Fleetwood. I mean, I didn't know of another Fleetwood Mac, so I thought the whole thing was the drummer and the
bass
the
player.
keyboard player were together.
Oh yeah, well, Christine McVie. Yeah. Well,
right?
no,
I'm not sure about the history of that band really.
you should check that out because the original Fleetwood Mac, it's the same drummer. Christine McVie came along a little bit later, and at the time she was married to the guy who was at the time the bass player. The guy who brought it into
Okay.
existence was the lead guitar player and lead singer, Peter Green, who disappeared from the music scene down to a very bad acid trip, and kind of he just disappeared. He couldn't play anymore. I met him, many years later, and he was trying to sort of come back, and it was tough to see him, struggle with playing. But he was a brilliant guitar player. He was the guy who replaced Eric Clapton in John Mayall's Blues Breakers.
Oh, no kidding.
And Peter Green is a beautiful, or was a beautifully melodic guitar player. And he was a big influence on a lot of those kind of British blues guitar players. So, but they had some great songs. They would suit you down to a T. You should check them out. Peter Green's Fleetwood Mac. That's the original Fleetwood Mac. Anyway, which has got nothing to do with anything, of course. Coming back up to sort of back up to date. I mean, I had this kind of message from your, PR people, because you have a single coming out very soon. Soft
Yes,
Side.
Yeah.
I haven't heard this, so tell me all about it.
Okay, hold on real quick. Let me go. So, Softer Side is, it's got a, so I've been playing in Brazil for a long time. And so I've been listening to the certain Asian music, which is kind of their country music for a lot of years. And some of the songs that have been really, that have melodically been really good, I've tried to translate into English.
Right.
And usually you're just translating the idea because the words don't really translate very well,
sure.
Verbatim. So me and there's a guy from a group called Love and Theft, which was, had some success in the mid 2000s, and he's a good buddy of mine, and he has a studio, and so we started writing, and I was telling him about, how I had been translating these songs from Portuguese into English.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, there is a place for this, because once you do that, you can go to any country. This is what I think is going to start happening worldwide eventually, as country musicians and the bigger artists, like Morgan and Luke and these guys start traveling all over the world. What you are going to start finding is these collaborations between somebody from, Japan or wherever a different language, not English, has come, where these big songs in other countries are going to get translated, and they're going to work with the artist, because once you do that, it becomes a new song, right? And there's this whole other world of publishing and a whole other world of income and revenue and ability for a song to go further than it would have in just one place. Anyway, that being said, we started listening to some of these. I started showing him some of these songs, and we heard this song that we really liked, that Fernando Sorocaba, the people that I'm signed to in Brazil, made with a pop artist. And we started listening to it, and we're like, man, that's got a really cool feel. What could we kind of replicate that and put our own spin on it? And so that's what we started doing, and it really took off. And look, at the end of the day, you got two kinds of songs. You've got songs that are catchy, and you've got songs that are deep. And this is a catchy song, right? This is not. It's not a great lyrical, whatever. It's just a catchy song. It's a good song. And it was like that in Brazil in its original form, and we kind of took the idea melodically and kind of put our words to it based on the idea of the song. Same thing I've been doing with a lot of these other tunes. And it turned out so well. We started playing with the band, and I'm like, gosh, I mean, with the horns, and because originally it was more like a very cut track with just a guitar, a piano, and some drums. And I showed it to the band, and they were like, "Oh man, it's cool." So we started kind of putting our own thing on it. And then we ended up taking it to a really neat place here in Nashville called Castle Studios, which is an actual castle, built by the mafia back in the mid 20s, and a really cool spot. And we did the music video there, and did the song, and that's the one that's getting released next week.
Right. Okay, so I'm going to wrap it up. I got lots of good stuff there to boil down to a nice Chris Weaver interview.
I appreciate it.
Thank you very much for taking the time to speak to us.
Hey, no problem. I appreciate it.
Hey, have fun this evening
Yes,
on
sir.
the stage. And
Yes,
all the best the next time you get to Brazil.
Thank you. Let's stay in touch, honestly.
Yeah, I'll just wave goodbye. And you take care.
Thanks, Nigel.
Take care.
You too, sir.
Bye.